bonjour, and welcome to the Amateur Detective Club. This club is exactly how it sounds. A bunch of amateurs talking about their favorite mysteries. So if you encounter a real mystery or a murder, contact the proper authorities. Do not come to us. We do not know what we are doing. But enjoy the program. Allons-y. Let us begin.
I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to order. My name is Tristan Miller, the Saucy Sleuth.
I'm Meli, the spy.
I'm Tyler Riley, drunk cop and a half.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod. Browse the unmatched selection of audio programs, download a title free, and start listening. It is that easy. Just go to audibletrial.com/ADCpod. I accidentally asked my iPhone to read out a bit of text I'd pasted into one of the social media apps we all use. And it said Edicapod, which I love.
Ooh.
Edicapod. Sounds like something from Harry Potter.
It does. Yeah. That's fun.
So Tyler, you suggested this episode. Why?
Because we're a murder mystery podcast, and this is a murder mystery episode of television.
That is true. Okay, number one, you got me there.
Okay. So this was formerly on True TV, right?
Yes.
What was it?
Yeah. And now I'm very interested to see what other True TV stuff HBO Max has, because...
Oh, they have all the hits. The Carbano Effect and Practical Jokers. They don't have South Beach Toe.
Okay.
But I think that was more of like litigation issues because one of the cast members did sue the producers.
Oh, that would do it.
Yeah.
They sued the cast of producers? Nathan Lane has a lawsuit?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. That's fun.
That's always a positive response to a bit of goofiness. Is, oh, I understand. I comprehend what you're doing.
I confused True TV, to be fair, with Discovery.
Like the True Crime.
Yeah, the Discovery.
Kind of
yeah. What's it called? That
Bravo.
No.
AMC.
Oh, good. We're just gonna guess networks
Turner
now.
Classic.
Oh, I
Movies.
think you're thinking IDTV?
IDTV, I think. Yes. Investigation Discovery. Yeah, that's it. Which I really, it's a crime that I don't have a subscription to that.
Oh, Lord.
Yes. Here for it. This is why I show up Monday night at 7 o'clock.
Can I tell you? Okay, so yeah, that is true. We should acknowledge we're recording at night, and as that happens, generally speaking, I'm less funny, and Tyler and Melissa are more funny.
Correct.
Because I'm sleepy and they're drunk. So
I think I'm consistently funny. That's on you.
yeah, I was making a little haha, making with a laughing, make with a haha, make with the jokes. But so it's Amateur Detective Club nights. Not only short stuff summer, Amateur Detective short night summer stuff, summertime style.
Can you overlay like some 70s porn music over that last bit?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's
Um,
the after work hot outside vibe we're bringing to you.
Yeah, it's too damn hot.
As I make Tristan mute my track while I chew. And
hopefully the
we
noise
drink wine.
gate will just take care of that. If not, enjoy it, listeners. I just full ass took my aligners out because I was getting it was hurting. So you might hear that on the pod too, of me ripping out plastic from my teeth, which is always the best sound.
I'm gonna be crunching some cucumbers.
Okay, well then. So,
choices. So we are here to discuss the
Yeah.
season 1 season finale of At Home with Amy Sedaris, a comedy crafting show that takes a quite unfortunate turn in this episode titled Murdercide.
yes. I will say this. I'm glad you told me it was for True TV because they do commercial breaks. And since it's on the home box office maximum, there's no commercials. And I was just like, is this also part of a bit? Because listeners...
Tristan's referencing an moment in the episode we're about to recap.
Yeah. Well, like, there are just commercial breaks in an episode as what normally happens in TV when there are commercials. But it's funnier to me as if there isn't. Because there's this layer throughout the entire episode of, she's talking to the camera and it's aware it's a TV show. And so that I found very amusing.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. So Amy Sedaris is, for those of you who don't know, a comedian and actor who is the sister of humorist David Sedaris as well. And she is on The Mandalorian with a
Boy,
wig.
is she. Boy, is she.
She was also Natasha Richardson's friend in Made in Manhattan with Ralph Fiennes and Jennifer Lopez.
Yes. And she is on a couple of episodes of Sex and the City as well.
I think most notably, recently, she is the voice of Princess Carolyn in BoJack Horseman. That is, I believe, a lot of people point of reference. That was my first introduction to her at all.
Oh, okay.
I never heard
we would be remiss to leave out Strangers with Candy, which was like her first big, major, notable thing, which was a Comedy Central sitcom in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Isn't Stephen Colbert on that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought
And
it
a
was
lot
too
of
far.
actors in this particular episode are also from Strangers with Candy.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right. So it starts out. Amy is actually, hang on just a second. I'm going to open up the episode and it might make noise. So I just don't want that to be on the thing.
You're going to give us the play-by-play.
Yep. I'm going to go frame by frame. It's going to be very
Please
enjoyable.
do.
No, okay. I muted it. It didn't do it. So you can cut all of that out or not, whatever.
I want to say as well, all of her fits in this outfit, all of Amy's fits, she's in some really nice outfits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can I tell you, this is... Go ahead.
She is wearing a cute little pink dress with a great big red flower in her hair. And also her kitchen is adorable. She's got like all sorts of little red appliances and like blue and yellow and green accents. It's very like retro feeling.
And Amy Sedaris is a legit crafter herself.
Of course she is. That makes sense.
She's also in this very small dress at the beginning of this episode, and with like an apron over it, and it's like, why are you in that small of a dress? Like, it just doesn't make sense in a really funny way. But also, no one told me she was a dime.
Oh yeah,
no, I'd never seen her before, other than Mandalorian when she's in a terrible wig.
How am I supposed to know what you've seen?
I know. I was just like, oh, she's so cute. Oh my gosh. I had no idea.
Love Amy Sedaris.
Yeah.
And she's in a dope fit. As they explain, she is hosting book club and they're making paella. You gonna make paella in a long dress, Tristan?
I've never made paella, so I wouldn't know. Anyway, she's making paella, and then it's interrupted, right? Like almost immediately.
Well, we don't even get to the paella making at the start of this episode. She's in a rocking chair, and she is wrapped in a shawl, letting us, the audience, know that a crime has befallen At Home with Amy Sedaris, a soon-to-be award-winning show about crafting.
Oh my god!
It is a murder, or maybe a homicide, or a murdercide. It is a dark and stormy night. To be very clear, lots of thunder crashing, lightning flashing through the window.
Yeah, and then we jump to the title sequence, which is, just chef's kiss. You see Amy doing some aerobics.
Good grief.
Doing some crafting and dancing. She has shrimp earrings at one point. It's a lot of fun. It's very confusing, but delightful.
Yes.
But then we see Amy in the kitchen. She is now making paella, letting us, the audience, know that the best way to make paella is to, not pay attention to it. Walk away from it. Neglect it.
Yeah.
And then there's a knock on the door.
Yeah.
But her guests aren't due to arrive for 8 minutes. And then the doorbell rings, which is strange because she doesn't have a doorbell.
Such a stupid old ass joke.
I love it. And another thing is that the fact that she's like just getting the paella ready and she's 8 minutes until her guests arrive is wild, and I love it. Her door knocker is made of a hand, so that's fun.
Yeah. Very like Jacob Marley-esque.
Yeah. So at her door is a very, very, very tall man. I mean, she is a small lady, but he's the tall man. With the most...
She is in heels as well.
Yeah.
Inexplicably.
Well, I mean, what else do you do when you're wearing a cute little outfit and an apron for your dinner party? You're gonna be in heels.
Well, I don't want to get into it, Melissa, but there's plenty to do.
So yes, he explains that he needs to use her phone because we don't have cell phones.
Played by Stage and Screen's Michael Shannon.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfectly cast.
Yes. He has a very murdery face. And...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He has a big duffel bag.
He has a huge duffel bag, and she was like, "Oh, do you want me to take your duffel bag?" And he goes, "She'll be fine right there." And I want to see Michael Shannon in more comedies because he's very funny. And I've noticed there's this thing where if you're a very funny actor, you are also can play murderers really easily. I don't know what it is about the chaotic energy of a funny person or a comedian, but it can be harnessed to be so sinister so easily.
I think you just said it.
Well, that's fair. Michael Shannon is there.
Yes.
And he's intimidating and spooky and scary. And she's like, "Well, I guess come on in, use my phone." And
which is right next to the blunt, heavy object.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Past the fire poker.
Yeah. And he picks up the phone, and he's like, "The line's dead." She goes, "How do you know?" "Because the voice on the other end told me." And I was like, that's... Again, this is like Marx Brothers ass jokes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just silly. And then she's like, "I guess you could just wait out the storm here. Company's not till 7 minutes now, but I have to go work on my paella."
Oh, that's rude. Why don't you take a bath and I'll go relax?
Yeah.
Hold on. That doesn't make any sense.
So weird.
I'll relax, you take a bath. What am I talking about? I have guests coming. I have to make paella. And then we're back in the kitchen. No, we're not back in the kitchen. We hear, again, a knock at the door. No, we hear the doorbell. Because we get the joke about the knocker.
Knocker?
I hardly know her. But we open the door, and there are 3 guests. Patty Hogg, her affluent next-door neighbor. Chassie, a friend of hers. And not Vincent. Vincent is the name with a knife. His name begins with an A, I believe. Like Anthony. I want to say Anthony.
Something
is
like
Anthony
that.
right?
Why not? Live a little.
Actually,
Why not?
Before they come, though, we do have a little bit more business.
Oh, apologies.
That's all right. She tells
Michael Shannon's drinking scotch, right?
Yeah. So she tells you that you need to make sure that the mussels are alive when you cook them.
Yes.
And then
pop open the shells.
Yes.
Very important, actually.
Yeah. And she then goes to her crafting corner and makes
Oh, yes.
she makes castanets.
The intro to the crafting corner with her like dancing around or whatever, very funny.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this weird introduction where she's sitting on the steps explaining the history of crafting.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just unhinged. The whole thing.
From top to bottom. That's what the show's about.
Yeah, this is the first episode I've seen. I've never seen this show before. And now I might have to, because I did find it very enjoyable. It reminds me a lot of like stuff on Adult Swim.
Yeah, it's great. She has Michael Stipe read a poem about castanets.
Right. Can I tell you? There's nothing funnier than poetry. I'm sorry. It's universally, if you... Because it's so embarrassing. It's so and I say this as someone who has a book of poems. It's embarrassing, and it's funny, and this poem is very funny, and not good, and his delivery is so stilted and weird.
We may need to cut this.
Okay.
Content warning, or trigger warning, whatever the thing is now. I'm going to say abortion.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is, on Issa Rae's web series, Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, she gets taken on a date to see slam poetry.
No, not for a date.
And her character literally goes, in the internal monologue, in the voiceover, goes, slam poetry is if poetry and hip-hop had a baby, and that baby should have been aborted.
Oh, God.
My thing has always been bad stand-up comedy is just good slam poetry, and there's no such thing as good slam poetry.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And again, this comes from someone who has performed poetry in front of people. We all make mistakes when we're not feeling well. But the poem is very funny, and I'll say this, the style of acting in this show is very stilted and off and very, very funny. A lot of it is, I'm clearly saying lines, but on purpose, and that is always so funny to me. There's nothing funnier to me than that, and I don't know why, but people seem to agree.
Yeah, it's good. And the thing is, like, she does it with such confidence. Everyone does it with such confidence that it's like, this is just what we're doing in this.
I think it's because, at least for me, it's like almost like a sense memory of like, oh, I remember watching like a Christmas pageant or like something growing up, and it really puts on blast the whole notion of like performing in general, of like, isn't this stupid?
Yeah.
For me, it really was just like, I grew up kind of watching like those PBS cooking shows and crafting things, and like inevitably things like would go wrong, and it was hilarious. But like these people were so earnest in what they're doing that, you know, you forgive them and you have fun.
Truly, that's true.
Yeah, and also like with PBS, a lot of the time it's like normal folks that have pitched a show to their local PBS station. Yeah. Like, even something like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood started off as like a local television show that eventually got broadcast nationwide. So it is this weird thing of like, again, it reminds me very much of like Dr. Brule, Steve Brule, like that sort of like...
I don't know this.
Adult Swim. It's John C. Reilly doing a very, very funny character of like essentially a PBS special. And
okay.
And also there's like a bunch of sketches from I Think You Should Leave that have a very similar energy. So
yeah,
it is. I think also that you're right, Tyler. The earnestness is so funny because it is. It's just like, oh, because you feel for him too.
Yeah, everyone just wants to do. She just wants to put on a good show and teach you how to do things, but sometimes she just can't.
And the way she teaches you to make castanets, and the way you do that is you drink a 6-pack of beer. You use an ice pick to bust a hole in it. And then
use pipe cleaners.
Then you use pipe cleaners, and then you click, clack, clack, clack. them together.
You put the pipe cleaners in between the two holes so it fits around like your thumb. You twist it off at the bottom. You do it on both sides. And
you better
then
save the little bits for later, though, because you could use them. And that was such a absolutely believable moment of crafting. I'm like, that is how I feel. That is true.
It's great.
Just use this for later. You'll find something for this leftover a bit of pipe cleaner.
Can I tell you, as somebody who's like done crafting and also does like model making, there's nothing worse than you look around and you realize that your home is just full of garbage. Like sometimes literal garbage where I'm like, oh, I can use this like old bottle to make something. It's like, why do you have this? Like, this is literal trash.
Yes, that is also a lot like what producing theater is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I feel like I'm going to need this at some point.
Oh, I still have a bowler hat. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I might need it for a show.
Yeah.
And Brian was really annoyed with me that, like, I kept this top hat and this ridiculous gun during the move. But it was like, they were props. Like, I might need them again or to give them back.
You will need a top hat again. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I will.
Yes.
When you play Poirot, when we finally do it, you'll need a top hat.
Yeah, and I need like at least 2 months notice to grow the stash back out to proper length again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So she is interrupted in her castanet crafting by a loud scream, and she sees a pair of legs hanging.
She goes, "What was that?" And then it happens again. And then she goes, "It's a scream." And then again, these are jokes. These are jokes, people. These are bits. They're not.
And we get a costume change.
We do. But you're right, Melissa. She runs in and she sees this pair of legs. Take it away.
Pair of legs, and she screams, and then they have to go to a commercial break.
Ba-da-ba-da.
So there's like a staged commercial for a book called Murder, She Cooked.
Yes! Yes!
Which I want, obviously. There's like shadowy figures and then, a chicken. And
foul play and plated foul.
That's it. That was very solid. There was something. The names are really good. Can you quick go to the episode, Melissa? Oh, please.
And then there was. You
mean talking about Dial M for Meatballs?
Yeah.
Yes. From a bunch of other books in the series.
Exactly.
Get Kill-to-Fish.
Yep. Death by Dumpling. Cole Slaughterhouse 5.
That's so good.
And then there was Flan. In Cold Butter. The Hangman's Noodle. It's real good. It's real good.
Can I tell you? That moment happened. I was like, this is why Tyler likes the show. I was like, this makes sense to me. So the camera pans down from the dangling legs over to Michael Shannon, who is in his nothing but his drawers. And the man looks good. He's built. He's got arms. Very impressive arms. He's a strong Midwestern boy.
Well,
Michael
this
Shannon.
was filmed not too shortly after his run on Broadway, where he had to be nude on stage with Audra McDonald. So I'm sure he got into shape.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, he's sitting there sipping his scotch.
In his silly pants.
And he says that his trousers are damp from the storm, so he hung them on the fan. She's like, but your shoes are also still there?
And he goes, well, I'm weighing them down to keep them from getting wrinkled.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
And she's like, I have to write that down for my tips.
Yeah.
And she goes, what about the scream? And he goes, I was blowing on the pants to drive them, and the noise came out. Which, such a good line. And the noise came out. Because it also conjures into your mind the image of him. It's one of those moments of like, if normally it's show don't tell, but that, perfect.
Yeah, it's real good. Because it paints a picture. It does. So he offers to help, and she says, in your underpants? And he says, yeah, I mean, that's how I usually do chores. And so he wields an ice pick and says, maybe I can use this. Is this yours? And he like then puts it in the like reverse grip that's often called at least in stage combat, it's called like serial killer grip. And he just is constantly holding things like they're weapons. And then the doorbell rings. So
the doorbell has rung.
Yes.
Who's that at the door?
He's like, are you sure you want to get that? She's like, well, I got it for you.
It's very funny.
They stare at each other, but then it's Michael Shannon who opens the door.
Yep.
Yes.
And the guests come in, as I jumped the gun previously, but it's Patty Hogue, her affluent next-door neighbor, her friend Chassie, and Anthony. It's Anthony, right?
I think
Can we just say Anthony? Do we
Yeah.
have an episode open?
We do.
Or an IMDb?
We
Is
haven't.
it Anthony?
I can't tell if it's Anthony yet. They haven't said his name.
Tyler?
Yeah.
You're 100% correct. It's
What?
Tony, though. It's Tony. It's not Anthony.
Okay.
It's Tony. But it's not played by Tom Kenny. It's David Pasquezzi, and then Cole Escola as Cassidy.
Chassie.
And then Michael Stipe is Michael Stipe, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, but the person playing Tony was also Strangers with Candy as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
But these three have entered the house now. Amy has now disappeared. Michael Shannon's character claims that she has gone to get wood for the fire. But Patty Hogue quickly points out that the fireplace is fake.
Yes, very solid.
To which he replies, well, she's getting fake wood.
Which is so good.
So funny.
Julian Pandarelli.
Yeah, that's Michael.
Yeah,
Pandarel, sorry, is Michael Shannon's character. Julie, not believable. I do not believe that man would ever be named that. He looks like Michael. Anyway, yeah, he gets fake wood, which is so... Again, it's like Marx Brothers ass lines.
Yep.
Ugh, so good.
Amy Sedaris is a queen.
She really is.
Can't say it enough.
Oh, so good.
So...
And she will craft her own crown, damn it.
I would love for her to do crafting a crown of like, just over some leftover garbage, like this Burger King crown.
Oh,
and
there is an episode where they do crowns, but it's a segment with the Lady in the Woods that is not present in this episode, but is present in most episodes.
Okay.
Excellent.
I've been looking for a new thing to watch. I finished all of King of the Hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I watched all of King of the Hill.
How did you feel?
Oh, it's great. I think it's just super. It's absolutely accurate to small town America. What happens next?
So, her friends are interrogating this man, Julian.
Right. Oh, and Tony.
Yep.
Someone else please cover this. I can't get through it without laughing.
So Tony pulls out a knife and calls it Vincent and says, now, are you going to explain that story to Vincent? Because Vincent, he doesn't like you. He doesn't trust you. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Tell Vincent. Tell Vincent. You got to convince Vincent. It's great. Convincent. Yeah. It's very good.
Oh, so weird. This is a weird show you made us watch, Tyler.
I love it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm a big fan of weird.
So glass shattered and scary music plays. And...
Oh, right.
Oh, but wait. Chassie gets them to calm down and give this stranger a chance because Chassie horny.
Because Chassie lays down on the ground at his feet in front of the fireplace very seductively.
Chassie is trying to bone almost every episode.
Good.
Love it.
And there's a great episode later on with David Allen Greer. I won't tell you too much, but it's great. But she says something about drinking, and then we hear glass breaking.
Yes.
And it's the recurring character of Regional Wine Lady.
I assumed as much because they say, oh, it's Regional Wine Lady.
And she's got a killer Chianti.
Yeah.
It's a complex and suspicious red. Yeah.
With mysterious undertones.
It's like, who does that remind me of? And the camera slowly pans over to Michael Shannon.
But
she has to head out in a flash because she's the first mate on a booze cruise. And Patty Hogue says, you can't, go out to sail in this weather. And she's like, it's more booze than cruise.
Just so good.
And then she sings her jingle, which she sings every time.
Oh, she does?
Yes.
Oh,
the show
it doesn't
so
rhyme. Oh, it's so funny. Pardon my
gosh,
friend.
how does it go?
Melissa, you have the episode up. Can you play it real quick?
Yeah, one sec. Okay.
It's Friday night. I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna get late. I'm gonna be late on Monday. Ship ahoy.
Yes,
there it is.
Yeah, you got it.
And then she falls backward out of the window that she's broken through. So the fact that it, again, does not rhyme.
So they're very worried. They're starting to get, really anxious about where Amy is. And, they're saying she could have been strangled with a rope. She could have, fallen into a grave. Well, Julian is saying, struck in the head with a lead pipe. Julian has a lot of ideas about how she could have died.
Yes.
And Chassie is very upset by it. And so she figures she could think about it or drink wine. And she chooses to drink wine. And so, but there's no corkscrews. So Tony's like, this is fine. I've got this. Let me take off my shoe. And quick tips comes across the bottom of the screen. So you put the bottle in a shoe and you bang the shoe against a cap.
But you have to take the wrapper off first.
Oh, yeah,
around the neck of the bottle.
Yeah. You gotta.
Because I say that because, if you are listening, the trick actually does work. I've done it a couple of times.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony does say he learned it in rehab, which is upsetting.
Oh no, that is.
He's like, I learned this trick in rehab.
That is.
Oh my gosh.
Sad and funny.
Yes. So funny.
So it gets very dark. There's lots of noises. And there's lots of people holding very ominous looking weapons. And
Tony's stabbing into the darkness.
Yeah.
Patty is running. Chassie is just
drinking the wine.
Crumbling and drinking.
Yeah.
It's a great and Michael Shannon is completely calm during all of this. And calmly lights a candelabra.
Why don't we have candelabras anymore? Is it because they're very dangerous and flammable?
I got a candelabra.
You do?
Why don't you have a candelabra?
I don't know. I should have a candelabra. It's very on brand for me. The lights all come back on. The lights are coming from inside the house.
Very. And then Amy, it just slaps him.
Yeah.
And again, I've not seen a slap in a what? Ha ha ha. Classic comedy.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
really not since the real Noel Coward days, or slaps really. Oh well, no, Mischief Comedy does a lot of that as well. The folks that did The Play That Goes Wrong, Peter Pan Goes Wrong, and the like. Everyone's
Accounted for except for Julian now, but the book club's all here.
Oh right.
And we are we're finishing off the paella, and Chassie is standing and listening to Amy and nodding as she drinks wine.
This bit.
So fun.
And Amy's like, why don't you help? And she's like, I can't with these tissue flowers. And she's like, I'm allergic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, they're paper flowers. She's like, no, I'm allergic to the concept of flowers. because she tells this very sad, convoluted story about how she watched someone die because they went to go get her flowers on a racetrack or something and got trampled by the horses. And she goes, so excuse me if I don't like flowers. She goes, well, that's completely reasonable. Go have a good time. And she goes, I will. It's very weird and funny.
Yeah, he bumped into a flower arrangement, and those big horseshoes with all the flowers upset a bee.
And the bee chased him onto the track.
Yeah.
And then the track... It's so dumb. It's so moronic, idiotic.
Yeah. And so she gives, she gives her one of the tissues from the tissue flowers to dry her eyes. It's very funny.
Because she's very silly. And then it's book club time. They finish eating the paella, and no one's read the book.
So good.
But Amy's back in her pink dress with the big red flower.
So we know some S is about to go D.
Right.
Something is about to happen that is bad is what Tyler means.
They know.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. So sorry. So then they hear a banging noise. Oh, Amy does say this is the last book club. And I did say out loud to myself, just go over to a friend's house and eat dinner. Like, you can just do that.
Tristan.
Well, about what?
Tristan, the reason we have a podcast is so that we talk to each other.
Oh, what? You've never seen a hypocrite before? I'm sorry. Excuse.
I took an oath once.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over to New Jersey. I'm gonna kick your ass.
The hypocrite's oath, yeah.
Use people coming over.
Can I tell you? I recently found out the gabagool thing is real. I thought people were just being mean to Italians with that shit.
What? The people say gabagool?
Gabagool?
Yeah.
Because, like, it's a meme online. You're aware of this, right, Melissa? Because of The Sopranos.
Oh, sure.
And the gabagool. And I was like, I thought they had just made up a nonsense word to make fun of Italians. And I'm like, this language is silly. Come on, I know it's slang. I read up about it, but come on.
No,
it's like mozzarella is like so far off of mozzarella.
It's basically become dialect at this point.
Yeah.
For real.
It's so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Nothing wrong with it. I have no faults with it.
But I was so, how do I say that? I was so delighted when I found out it was a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because for a while, I'm like,
gabagool?
Yeah, again? Gabagool.
But we hear banging.
Mm-hmm.
Not of the sexual variety, but we hear like banging sounds, like a hammer
on a floor.
Yeah.
Does Michael Shannon have an Academy Award?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
He's been nominated several times, I know. But he deserves one for the performance that he gives in this scene.
I'm sorry, do you know how Emmys work?
No. What is that?
Emmys are for television, so perhaps...
What's TV? I'm so young, I've never seen a TV. I only know Netflix. What's TV?
Oh, you watch Netflix on a TV? Or
I have
a laptop?
A projector and a computer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so he's been nominated twice for an Oscar for Revolutionary Road and Nocturnal Animals.
Oh, right. Nothing for Shape of
Animals.
Water. I forgot.
I haven't seen that one. Anyway.
Really? You would like
and
it
I think
much,
he
probably.
is currently nominated for a Tony for Best Actor in a Play for Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune. If I'm not mistaken. I know Audra is. I believe he is as well.
Good for him.
Speaking of Tonys, something else we covered, A Soldier's Play, still has a bunch of noms, and we will find out in just a few months who won last year's Tonys.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Speaking of
so
Tonys,
wild.
good.
No, I'm just I was very confused when there was talk of Tony nominations. I'm like, what? How did that occur this year? No? What? Okay. But it makes sense that it was for like
Oh, he was not nominated
No.
This year, but he was nominated in 2016.
He was for something.
But not Rotten.
Anyway.
Speaking of Tonys, Tony is one of the people that rushes over to see what the banging noise is.
Yes. And the floorboards are up. Michael Shannon's banging on the floorboards. And
with a hammer.
With a hammer. And he says, I just discovered this body in the floorboards. Oh my God, Helen, my wife. And he's like, what did you do to her?
He does this fantastic acting choice of continuing to check in with the other people to see if they are buying it and to just keep going. And then someone goes, your duffel bag is empty. And he goes, oh my God, they also stole from me? Oh no, I gotta get out of here. And he runs away.
Cut 2.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. And he runs out of the door and
and we cut to an ad break.
Yeah. Oh, right. I was like, the commercial break doesn't happen there, Todd.
It sure does.
Ours does. You jag.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this episode of Amateur Detective Club. It's Short Stuff Summer. Short Stuff Summer. We're not gonna cover any bummers on Short Stuff Summer. We're on the Scavengers Network. You can go to scavengersnetwork.com. I don't know why I was doing a bit where I was drunk like the stork from Looney Tunes. Anyway, everyone's happy to see the stork. So you can go to scavengersnetwork.com, check out all the fine programs they have there, including podcasts, stuff. You can go to Teespring / The Mill, something like that. The links in the show notes for our merchandise. You can support us that way, and you can support me by calling me and telling me you love me. Also, you can come to my shows. I've begun touring my hour of comedy called Manic Impressive. You can go to tristanjmiller.com /manic-impressive and check out the tour dates. I'm performing in New York soon. Next month, as of this recording, August 6th and 7th at Urban Myth Studios at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. 10 o'clock is only on Saturday. I could have done better with that, but I gave you all the information. So there you go. You have it now. Do whatever you want with it, but you have it. It's not mine anymore. Take it, please. Just take it from me. God, I don't want this information anymore.
And you can follow us on social media. Our handle on social media, Instagram and Twitter, is ADCPod. And also you can find us by going to facebook.com /ADCPod. And you can even email us with some compliments at amateurdetectiveclub@gmail.com.
There are a couple of emails that I gotta get to in that email box, and I'm sorry. That's all.
We are also on Patreon. Patreon.com /ADCpod. For as little as $1 a month, you can receive bonus access to bonus episodes and content, plus all Discord benefits. That's right, we are now on Discord, causing all kinds of discord on the internet. So join us on patreon.com /ADCpod today, or else. Also, on a personal note, a play that I am in, or was in, is a part of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this year, as part of their virtual wing. So starting on August 6th, you can catch me and my castmates in Uburu. which is an absurdist take on the story of the Scottish play of Mac.
You know the one.
Macbeth.
Oh.
I'm not a coward, and I'll say Macbeth until the day I die.
Back to the show!
Butt soup. Butt soup.
Oh, right.
Butt soup.
Okay, so,
Wait! What soup?
Butt soup? What light through yonder window breaks?
But that's fun.
It is Amy Sedaris making paella sandwiches.
For the police officers that have been called.
Yes.
But they need to mind the shells that could be in their sandwich.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And then
she
made
has built a diorama. Oh my god, of the crime scene. Next to the crime scene.
And she presents it to the police officers. They're like, we have this life-size actual crime scene that we can investigate. She's like, well, I thought you might want to take it home, possibly. They're like, no, we're good on that.
Oh, she's a natural Frances Glessner Lee.
Yeah, thank you for knowing the person. I was like, it's like that. And then I was hoping, Melissa, you would know. And you did.
They're investigating the homicide, assumed, and Amy says, well, there was this man here, and he did come in with this bag that was very body-sized, and et cetera, like, just pointing them directly to Michael Shannon. It's really quite brilliant. So she goes through, after they leave, she goes through and inventories her night, things that were a hit, the thing that hit Helen's skull, her paella, misses book clubs, strangers with duffel bags, that sort of things. She says that she feels safe now, and some thunder crashes, and there's a silhouette outside the window with something that looks like an axe, and that's the end of the...
Scaramouche!
Yeah, and that's the end of the show.
So what do we think of the episode?
0 out of 5. No mystery. It was obvious from the beginning.
Yeah, that's how we're grading this one. That's a good way to
made
assess
myself
it.
laugh.
Yeah.
I will give it 4.5 out of 5. Just the 0.5 is because there wasn't an actual mystery, but also because I don't have any context for some of like the recurring bits. So
sure.
like when the wine lady showed up, I was like, okay, we're doing this, I guess. So random, lol. But like, nothing didn't work about it for me. Very funny top to bottom, silly, A+.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely great. I similarly, I think that if I had watched other episodes before this, I think it would be a 5. Like, it's so good. I'll give it a 4.5 just because, I didn't have that context, which is not really fair to the episode, but so be it. Holding it back just to make sure. But no, it's really fun, really funny, really silly. It's 24 minutes long, so this episode is already how many times longer than it? I mean,
6 times the amount.
No, about 4 times. You'll get some of this cut out, but yeah, it's at least we've talked at least 3 times as long as the actual episode was. So you can really enjoy it, while you're building a coffee table or whatever. But you're gonna wanna catch all the fun bits.
That is so generous to people building coffee tables, Melissa, as if it did not take 2 hours for me to and Tyler's help to come build my coffee table. I did it once, I cocked it up, and then he had to come fix it.
No, that's fair. I mean, but what I'm saying is, like, to be able to absorb what's going on,
yes,
you can be, you can be doing something with your hands at the same time.
Oh, I was.
And then we got to the table.
Melissa literally put her hand to her forehead. So for the listeners. So Tyler, what did you think of the episode?
I would give it 2 and a handlebar, so like 2.75, just to be consistent with how I have judged everything that we've covered. Mm-hmm. I had figured it out, so I had to deduct points for that because I did it for Knives Out. I did it for several other things, so to be consistent, I have to grade it accordingly. I did have a great time with the episode. I love this show. I only found it during quarantine. I knew of its existence, but I haven't had cable in years. So I didn't have the means to watch it because, sorry, Amy, but I did not want to pay $22.95 on Amazon to get the full seasons. I'm sorry, but no. So now it's on the HBO, the home box office maximum, as it were. And I'm having a great time. I encourage you both, and I encourage the listeners to watch more if you're able to. It's a really fun show. This was, as it was noted in the episode, a very special episode of Amy's At Home with Amy Sedaris. So good. And with good reason.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate your dedication to your like grading technique, Tyler, because you can just grade it based on whether or not you like it if you want.
Can I tell you? And I really enjoy it because it is consistent. Way to go. A+. You get a gold star. But I have said during the part where he rates an episode, I've been like, I was in a bad mood when I watched it, so I didn't like it. 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. Like, I'm so foolish. I'm trifling with this, you know? It's just so silly.
Well, as someone who has not closed the door on running for New Jersey political office, I want to be true to my word.
Right.
And as someone...
Because as a black male, everything is going to be scrutinized.
Oh, goodness. And your entire body of work on this podcast included.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we might have to take down some episodes when I run.
That's fair. I, as someone who eventually will get their private investigator license, gonna purely go on instinct, not gonna pay attention. It's gonna be completely mood-based.
Well, I plan to hire you as my PI to go back and track down the information that is damaging to me. That doesn't make me feel good, Tristan.
Oh my goodness.
And with that, next week, we're talking about the new adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I'm very excited about.
Pooh Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear.
I'll cry if you do. I did learn it on the piano today. We're watching season 1, episode, 14?
No, season 1, episode... Oh, I don't know. I think you're right.
It was 21 on Disney.
Okay.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting it confused probably with something else. Anyhow, it's where Tigger decides to become a privateer, and that's the name of the episode. Is Tigger Privateer.
Yeah.
So look forward to that.
Yeah, Melissa, you're right. Season 1, episode 21. Air date February 4th, 1989.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The year my sibling was born. I was not
born. I
born.
thought that was something that happened when I was alive, this episode, because I definitely watched The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh growing up.
Same. And I'm sure we'll get into it when we review the episode. And so we're done. I call this meeting to adjournment.
Gavel sound?
Hmm?
Oh, bother.
Oh.